Good morning, everybody. This is Sarah with Harrisburg Project. I just logged in a couple minutes early. We got a big group again today, so just wanted to log on, see if anybody has any questions before we get started. Today we aren't going to be here as long as we have been, so I know a lot of you come to all of these sessions. So if you have been with me during all claims or yesterday during Fund E, this one will not be as long, and it's a much easier claim. So some good news today. I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes. I've only got about a third logged in, so we do want to wait before we get started. So I guess for some of you, this is your last day of school. Okay, it's 9 o'clock, but we're still only at about a third, so I am going to wait a minute. I'll go ahead and talk about your housekeeping items. If you have questions, you can ask them in the questions pod. You don't have to hold them till the end. If I don't answer immediately, it might be something I'm going to address in a couple slides. Also, I did upload your handout, so you can find that under your materials. So it's going to be the little piece of paper with a check mark. You don't have to print it out. It's always going to be available to you if you want to go back and look. We do record all of our sessions, and then we'll post this under Hot Topics. It might be next week before we get this one there, since they're working on Fund E right now. And that was a long one. So it may be Tuesday or Wednesday of next week before the Fund F training is posted, but it will be available again this session with the notes. So you don't have to print all these notes out. I know it's a lot of paper and a lot of ink. So, and sometimes, you know, if you had them last year, it's probably very similar still. So fortunately for you and everyone else, nothing has changed as far as the procedures go. If you did not do claims in iStar Plus last year, it might be a little bit, you know, of a learning curve there, but it's pretty straightforward, especially if you've been working in the system all year. So, okay, we're at a standstill. So I guess we're just going to have about half of our registrations. That's all right. So it's 9:01. I will go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Sarah. I work with Harrisburg Project. I'm the lead trainer here. So we will go ahead and get started. Today we're going to talk about your due dates for Fund F, how to check for youth in care, how to search for your Fund F students in iStar. So if they're already entered, how can you locate those students? The calendar method of computing days is what you're going to use for Fund Code F. There are no other options. You cannot change that method of computing days, so it makes it pretty straightforward. I'll show you how to put the data in for the claim. I'll talk about some private facility approval tips. I'll show you the reports, and then, of course, how you can get a hold of us if and when you need help. So I think this is flipped. Am I missing a... Well, I'm missing a slide on the due date. The due date is June 15th with corrections through July 31st. So what that means is that after June 15th, you cannot add any more Fund F records for the regular term. Okay, summer term is separate. It's due in November. So June 15th is the due date if you want to mark that down. Next, how do you identify your youth and care orphanage students? So we're a little late in the game for this, as I mentioned yesterday, but you can go ahead and look and see if you have any of these students that were regular ed or regular term that started after March 2nd or after. So we just had our due date where if they started before March 2nd, you had to have them entered and approved. So for regular term Fund F, if they started before March 1st, you won't be able to add those records now. Those had to be added by May 1st. It doesn't mean that you may still not have some orphanage students that you need to add. So, but we're at the end of the year at this point. So this list updates nightly. It shows you any students that have DCFS involvement. It means they have potential to qualify for orphanage. It does not guarantee that they will just because they're on the list. We have regular ed and special ed students here. So the whole population, anyone that's enrolled in SIS for your district and has DCFS involvement will populate on the list. What you will do with that is determine first and foremost, are they in iStar yet? So when you're looking at that listing, you're going to see a fund code column. If there is no fund code, it means they're not in iStar. So the first question you will have to answer is, should they be? Or are they a regular ed student that should not be in iStar? Second, you'll look at the fund code column to see, is there an existing fund code? If so, what is that fund code? If it is an X, an A, or an S as in Sam, then it's an indicator that maybe you should change it to an E. And if it is a B as in boy, then it's an indicator you should change it to F as in Frank. If you make the change to the approval record and you get eligibility errors, that is when you will make a list of those SIS IDs that have those errors, send them to us at support and ask us to check against the DCFS file. We will then check. We will look to see if maybe they do not qualify and the error is legitimate and you need to change them back to the previous code, or if something is causing a discrepancy, or if a discrepancy is causing the error, meaning that they are eligible, but maybe the first name spelled incorrectly in one system versus the other. So then we would ask for an ISB override. So what we don't want you to do is make the change from A to an E, say, and see the errors and then panic and change it back. Getting the errors does not guarantee that they are not eligible. So you always want to check with us first. But remember, at this point, you cannot add any regular term Fund F records unless they started March 2nd or after. Okay. So again, this list is updated nightly on the potential. The list that we have for air checking, we get about 3 weeks after the month has ended. So not yesterday, I think Tuesday, we got the April file. So they just loaded April file for us. So we're able to check those now. That is how we check if they are actually eligible. Okay, so the potential updates nightly, the air checking monthly. Oh, there's my slide. I had it out of order. This is the date for adding Fund F. You have approval corrections through June 30th, claims corrections through July 31st, and then summer terms not due until November. So this is for regular term, June 15th. Okay. All right. How to search for Fund E students that, or I'm sorry, Fund F students that already exist in the system. So what you'll want to do to find the Fund F is go to Student Analytics. Once you get there, click on the magnifying glass. If you're a co-op and you want to, search by district, that's fine. You can put in some search criteria before. If you want to put up all your records, hit search. Then you're going to type Fund F in the fund code column, and then you'll hit the wheelbarrow or the shopping cart, whatever you want to call it. I call it a shopping cart. That's going to open up the records in Student Central, so you will be able to actually work on those. So it tells you that from our student analytics search, we have 4 students that are Fund F that have opened up 4 records, okay? So now what you will do is select the student record on the left-hand side. So whatever is highlighted over here in blue is going to determine the data that you see on the right-hand side of the screen. So all of this data is going to be for Clive Bennett. So we're going to go and look at the claims. So you'll scroll down, you're going to see student data, student approval data, and then you're going to see the claims banner. So what we want to do is open this claim with the pencil. Okay. So at this point, you're going to need to know what is the approved rate for the claim. Okay? So when you are going to put on the claim record the amount that you have paid out, you want to check to make sure that it matches the rate that the rate you are being billed matches the rate on the approval record, so that you are guaranteeing that you have the correct facility chosen on that approval. So we want to make sure that the rate matches what is on your invoice. So to check that, you can open up the student approval data and click on the pencil. And about midway down on the left-hand side, you're going to see under the private facility this details link. That will open up the private facility page, and it will show you the approved rate amount. So that way you know before we even put data into the claim whether or not the rate you see matches the rate you paid. So it's really important that that matches. If it doesn't, again, it's an indicator that maybe your private facility should be a different number. Maybe they have an individual aid and this should have been an intensive rate instead of the regular rate. So always make sure that you're looking at that before you just go type in the claim amount, okay? So that's going to be under the student approval data banner. Anytime you want to open one of these records, you click on the pencil. That's how you can open it to view. Whether you're going to edit or not, that's how you open it. And so again, the details is going to be on the left-hand side about midway down. So on your claim, when you're ready to enter this, it's going to default to calendar. You're going to select the calendar for the facility in the drop-down. If you were charged the maximum rate, do not change the FTE. You almost never change the FTE on a private facility record. I don't care if they go half a day, a quarter of the day, you hardly ever will change that because it will impact the calculation. So you're going to put in what you're paying. If you deflate that FTE, it will deflate your claim. We don't want that to happen. So I get a lot of questions about private facility kids and FTE. Rarely would you ever change the FTE for a private facility student. We want to claim everything that you enter, okay? The ADE will calculate, it's the days enrolled divided by the days in session times the FTE. So this 1.0 means the child was there all year long, full time. The days will enter. If they haven't already, you can hit update days. You do not have to do this on every single record. So there is a way that I will show you after I get done with this. I'll show you how to do this overall for all the records for private facility. But if the days don't look right when you come in, you can hit update days. And then you will type in your cost per pupil. If they have special transportation for Fund F, you can claim it. For B or S, you cannot claim transportation, but for Fund F, since it's orphanage, you can claim the special transportation. So if on the approval record they have the related service of 25, you can put their students' cost here for that. Okay, so it's cost per pupil that you will enter and transportation cost that you will enter. How do you get the cost per pupil? It's the days enrolled times the per diem. So the daily rate. You will not be able to claim any more than that. The system will not allow you to. We will give you an error if you claim more than the max amount. So at 185 days enrolled times we're saying this actually High Roads cost is $252.35. We come up with $46,684. You do not round, just drop the cents. So you truncate. You drop off the change. So if you rounded that up to 46685, we would give you an error. The majority of the calls that we get about these claims is that they're $1 too high because you rounded. So the system knows the max amount that can be claimed. So again, do not round. And the transportation cost, it's 100% of their special transportation. So you can claim all of it. It's not a lower percentage for orphanage. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. I told you guys this one's a lot easier. So this is what it looks like. This is the summer record, just so you know. Very similar. Okay, so you'll have a regular term record, you'll have a summer term record. We will do a training on summer term orphanage. I just wanted you to see the difference between the regular term and the summer term. I was kind of going through some of the trainings that I do and, you know, looking at things that I do mention and then things that I don't mention at all, and thought, you know, maybe I need to show, yes, there is a summer record. It is important. It's just not due at this time. So you will do this in November, but this is what the summer record will look like. So orphanage has a separate due date for regular versus summer, and you have separate records. So pretty straightforward here as well. So just some quick tips. We've kind of already gone over some of this. Make sure that you have the correct term for these kids. So make sure you add your summer term records. You have until November to do that, to add them in the system. The system will allow you to do that. But the problem we run into is SIS enrollments. Make sure you know who your summer term kids are. So you can go ahead and tell your SIS admins to leave these kids enrolled until their last day of summer school. We need those summer enrollments. Check your private facility codes and your rates, again, against your invoices. Make sure that you are paying or that you are claiming the proper amount. If we get all the way through and approvals close, you cannot change that rate. So you're going to be stuck with whatever you choose after approvals close, okay? So we want to make sure that the rate you have, the number you have selected or the facility you have selected matches the rate that you're paying. So make sure if you're paying intensive rates that you have the intensive code checked in iStar. And also make sure you're doing end ads on these kids. If they're going and transitioning to different facilities throughout the year, we need to have that reflected in iStar. You can't just have one claim record, add up all the different facility costs and put them on there. It's not going to work that way, okay? So make sure that you're doing your end ads if these kids are moving around from facility to facility. I saw a record yesterday where this little girl moved 6 times in the school year, and sometimes it was just back and forth from between 2 facilities. But, you know, she had to have all those transitions in iStar, otherwise the claims wouldn't match up. Okay, if we were billed at a lower rate than what you paid, then yeah, that's what you claim. You just can't claim more than that. It would be very odd to be billed less than that amount. You can have, as long as you have summer enrollments, it doesn't matter how they do that in SIS, whether they extend the current enrollment or add a summer enrollment. It doesn't matter to us as long as those dates align with iStar. Begin dates. So for these orphanage kids, it's probably too late to do anything with them. So the question is, our district SIS specialist adds begin dates across the board for students as of 8/20/25. So none of them were unique at the beginning of the year. As we all know, private facilities don't start the same day as public schools. They can, but they may not align. At this point, there's probably nothing you can do because you're not going to be able to edit those records since it's after May 1. However, this next school year, they need to accommodate that because you're going to lose funding for those days. So if they start before August 20th and they're not giving you the enrollment until that date, then you're losing days. Okay, very good question. I have a warning for Fund F that says education cost matches per diem rate. Please verify. Who verifies this? We're warning you because you've put in the rate. You have to put in the rate times the days, okay? We don't want you to put the rate in. You have to take the rate, multiply it by the days enrolled. You're going to put in the whole cost for the whole year, okay? You're claiming too little. Unless they only went one day. If they only went one day, then having the rate entered would be correct. Okay, our transportation cost is quite high for Fund F students, and I got a warning on the claim. Will that affect the claim? Is that considered an error? Warnings are not errors. They are warnings. They will not stop the claim from being picked up. Errors will. So anything that starts with F is an error for fatal. It stops the claim from being picked up. If you see the W dash, it's a warning. If the transportation is correct, then ignore the warning. We did up that threshold, but I still think it might be a little low. So we just want to make sure that you're typing in the right amount and that it's not a typo. So sometimes those warnings about costs, that's all it is. It's just a warning, and it's just something that may seem a little bit high or may seem like a typo. Okay. So for your reports, it's student reimbursement by fund. And if you want to look at what you got paid last year for Fund F, you can look at your computation sheets by payment type. So it will be orphanage for these. Okay. Okay. Got a couple questions. All right. Sorry I was a couple minutes late, but does the rate keep the same for every student? It depends. I mean, if they're all going to the same exact facility and they're not going to the regular facility, so if they're all going to High Roads regular, then yes, their rate would all be the same. But if they're going to some, if they're in an intensive program at High Roads, the rate might be different, or if they're going to different facilities. So not every student's rate would be the same unless they're at the exact same facility in the exact same program. So if you look in your notes, it tells you on the approval record for these under details how to check that. So let me go ahead and just show you guys a couple things. There was something else I was going to show you. Oh, I remember. Oh, man. Try this again here. There we go. Okay, it takes just a second for this to log in. Try to zoom my camera out a little bit so you guys can still see me. Feel like it looks like nobody's in here. Okie doke. So I got to get my fake user real quick. I would like to be logged in before we start, but as y'all know, it will kick me out. So I don't waste my time. All right. So let me pull up, see if I've got a Fund F in here. Okay. And that just happens to be the one we were looking at in the training. So I'm going to close this student level data. These are called banners, these blue areas. So I'm going to look on this student approval banner. I'm going to hit edit. And this is where you look at the rate under details. So you can see 3423 High Road School of Mount Prospect is what I have selected. So I'm going to open this, and it's going to show the information about the facility, but it's also going to take forever. For some reason, my account, nobody else has this problem except for me. I'm going to look it up. It goes to this is where it's going when you click on that button. So I'll just look it up this way to show you what it looks like. 3423. I don't know. I feel like the search is down. Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay. That never is going to load. Okay. So, High Road School of Mount Prospect, it shows you all the information about it. It shows you the rate, so the $252.35. It shows you the regular term and the summer term, but it also shows you their other schools. So the question earlier about will the rates always be the same? This is why the answer depends. So what high roads are they at? If they're at High Roads regular in Mount Prospect, then they all, and all the kids are at that same, under that same program, then yes. But if you have a kid with an individual aid, you're going to see the intensive rate. It's a different number, 3422. So on the record, instead of having 3423, you should have 3422 in your drop. Okay? So that is what makes the big difference. Do I have any questions about that? And while we're talking about this, same idea on that for Fund B and Fund S. Just a heads up. They can have multiple rates at the same physical location. Okay. Now, a lot of high roads are in different towns, so that's not always the case with High Road. All right. I also told you that I would show you how to reload the days for all your records. You can just come over here and hit search. I need to tell you where I went. I went under claims analytics under student. Okay, so claims analytics. I hit search. And then it is this check mark. I thought, oh no. Oh, update calendar days. This check. So if you click that, it will update all the calendar days. All of the claims that have calendar selected, it will update those days. So they have to have the calendar selected for that to happen. But that's a way to do it in mass. I had someone that was having to open every record and click the button. So in mass, right here. So again, we're under claims analytics. Hit search and then click that button. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, wait, just a minute or so to check the rates. Okay, the path again to check the rates. It's going to be the details. So under your approval record, you click the pencil. And then you go to details. I don't know why mine won't load, but it's a problem with my training server. But this is what it will look like when that does load. Okay. All right. Oh, figured that. Okay, we had a question. She figured it out. I like that. Yes, this will be uploaded to YouTube probably next week because we're still working on Fund E. Okay, we got a real specific question about Fund E. I think you would just claim per cap unless it's a pre-K student. So that this student just started. So again, if they just started with you, I would not do the program correct, but I would claim per cap if they're K through 12. If they're pre-K, you'll have to do the related services like you suggested. Fourth grader, I would just claim per cap calendar method. Okay. All righty. So remember, guys, if you have any questions, just let us know. Email us, give us a call. We're happy to help. If you need one-to-one training, go to our website, sign up for that under Hot Topics. It says want customized training. So just let us know. Remember, this is due June 15th with corrections through July 31st for the claim. So your slide's out of order. So that was my mistake. It doesn't match the topics, but the slide tells you when it's due and what the corrections are. So, okay, so I will see y'all next week. I think we have one more session this month. So again, if you need individual help, please let me know, and I will see you next week. Thank you, guys. Bye.